A beautiful Friday, April 24th, a year of our Lord 20 and 26. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could prove it because America is breaking out all over the world. It's also the place where the brave, like veterans we've lost this year, but salute today thanks to John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, like Larry Sims of drums, Frank Stanek of Ashley, Joseph Lipka, Hazleton, Joseph Surdell, Miners Mills section of Wilkes-Barre, Robert Oleschik, Plains Township, and Jerry Garbasick, Berwick, the United States of America. The country founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not, could not, would not, and cannot and never shall be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things. Because government's power always means less freedom, less liberty, and less choice for Americans. These founding fathers knew that government power, because of human nature, should only be a necessary evil designed to protect and organize society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups or controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and even freedom of the press, no matter how they abuse it. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. A gentle warning, however, this is not a safe harbor for stupidity. This kind of nonsense will be roundly and, dare I say, harshly attacked throughout the program. We will not suffer fools gladly, and their foolishness and ignorance, willful or otherwise, will be called out with intent, purpose, and vigor, designed and sadly necessary to save our great republic from evil, senselessness, weakness, all of which can bring this noble and successful experiment called America down. We must honor our obligations and aggressively oppose them. So, well, we're looking forward to today. Jimmy Rosikas from Brooklyn Bridge is going to be on with us after 10 o'clock. And then we're going to have Chet Parlavecchio coming back, the Monday Mensch. But he's going to be coming back to talk about the NFL draft. A bunch of you had asked about that. Well, it'll be fun, even for those of you who don't care, because frankly, I don't care. But it's something that's happening and that should be brought up. By the way, CNBC and Fox News. Now, here's our Mayor Cognetti. All right. The 10 worst U.S. city for jobs and earning potential. Scranton's right there. Fox News reporting, Scranton crime spike dogs Democrat mayor as she challenges GOP rep in Biden's hometown. Yuck. Biden. She should be associated with Biden. That's her baby. She helped give us the expressway in the street that disgraces this country and certainly besmirches the area. And then, speaking of the same level of intellect, AOC. I mean, Paige Cognetti wants to be part of that squad so badly she could taste it. My God. But here's AOC. She says, Republicans are trying to rig elections by only allowing U.S. citizens to vote. Gosh. So as long as we're on the discussion of our horrible mayor, my street is graded. It's been patched multiple times. Then they dug up the patchwork. The crosswalks were painted, and then they dug up the walks. I mean, just a level of incompetence in Mayor Cognetti that I have never seen. I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. But she did a state of the city. Well, naturally, in the local rag, she gets front page and pictures and all that. Well, Mayor Courtright sold the sewer authority, and that's what bailed the city out. She had nothing to do with it. Literally nothing to do with the financial health. And I see there's nobody, nobody's going to care to ask her. And the question would be, well, Mayor, what did you do? And not gibbledy-guck, boogly-buck, because she's good at that. She's very good at saying nothing. Mayor Cognetti. And she says, well, it got done by Courtright. No matter what you think of him, he bailed us out. Number two, you could not ask her, well, what did you do to restore the financial progress of the city? Nothing. Literally nothing. Ask her what she's done. The answer is nothing. Meanwhile, crime, and now we're one of the 10 worst U.S. cities for jobs and earning potential. Wow, what a hallmark. By the way, on a more positive note, but negative in a way. And I told you this. Ben O'Brien, the University of Scranton women's basketball coach, I knew he was going somewhere. And he is. This was a headline on the sports page the other day. He's leaving the U of S to go to Lafayette. And good for him. I mean, he really did a great job. It is the university's loss, though. It truly is. And something that I didn't get to, but I had torn it out just to mention it. There was a great picture in the yesterday's news, otherwise known as the Hazleton Standard Speaker. And Cunningham had hired a police chief, and they showed him being sworn in by Mayor Daniel Ryman. Thomas Ibach, Chief of Police Cunningham. Congratulations, Cunningham. And God bless and protect you. God bless and protect you. All right, it's time for us to hear from our great sponsors. Let's do that. We've got a little history and a little music on the other side. And we got a lot to do today. Bob Cordaro, the eponymous program. We will roll on after this. Del Shannon. I remember this song as there's a great show. You could look it up, probably on YouTube, which we are, by the way. I'm wearing my all-time great shirt from Chris Finazzo, who we've had on the program and who I was in Fort Dix prison with. It's really great. I love it. You can see it on the live stream. And the live stream brought to you by our friends at Roach Supply, ROCHE, the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business. And you know what that means? That means they're great at what they do. That means they are the premier kitchen and bath supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. RoachSupply.com, ROCHE. RoachSupply.com today. Check them out. They also own Chapman Supply up in Clark Summit. Somebody says, Bob, what do you mean the fabulous mayor of Scranton did nothing? She used taxpayer funds to single-handedly keep out-of-state consultant firms funded, help numerous gang-backed startup businesses in the city, removed all the offending urinals out of City Hall, painted crosswalks on streets, and saved taxpayers thousands of dollars on the upkeep of a pool. Exactly, sadly true. I mean, we've been subjected to this stupidity and incompetence like you won't believe. It's an embarrassment. And now she wants to be the congressperson, and she's got this fake, phony image that a lot of people have fallen for. Somebody takes in, they're paving some of the streets in the South Side. Yes, of course. She's running for office. That's why we're paving the streets. She's had 4 years, $69 million sitting in the bank. Couldn't get a pool built. Couldn't get the streets paved. And my truck, Big Lou, his tires and shock absorbers are much the worse for it. Amazing. Oh, boy. Bob, somebody texted in, is there a listener in our area who's had a victory against the utility regime? I am being threatened by American Water because of low water usage. I shower with my girlfriend, do laundry at the laundromat, and they're scheduling a meter reading where I must be present. The utility company are all Democrat-owned. Well, I don't know if that's the case. And what is my recourse? Well, why don't you want to be there? Like, I'd want to be, if I could be there when they were reading the meter, I would want to be. That's one of the problems. And in fact, regarding PPL, I called up there. I said, what is this insane bill you've given me? And they said, well, we'll send somebody out to check the meter, but it'll cost you $35. I said, are you out of your mind? Go to the Public Utility Commission. My friend Alan did it. And miraculously, his PPL bill dropped. Go to the PUC. Those kind of complaints cause them agita. You know what that is. That's Italian indigestion. That's my best recommendation. But frankly, if they want to be there, or if they want you to be there for a meter reading, I'd be there. I really would. That's my recommendation. And I don't know why not. Hey, this hour brought to you by our friend, Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Premier Sotheby's International in Naples, Florida. You can look her up at Sotheby's International in Naples or go direct to the source, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. She's going to be on with us later today. I'm trying to get my friend Alex Picardo on to tell us what they're up to, but he's always too busy with customers. So that's a good thing. But we're in any event, yeah. Somebody about Paige Cognetti, people aren't falling for it. Sheeple want to fall for her. These party label thing, frankly, the Democrat Party label right now to me is poisonous. They're insane. Somebody texted in about this absolutely disgusting Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House. And he says, the listener says, Bob, I never thought there could be any lawmaker dumber than Joe Biden or Chuck Schumer. I was wrong. Hakeem Jeffries, minority in the House, gets the Jackass of the Century Award. He recently made a speech saying Iran is stronger and wealthier than ever because of the recent war. Put him in a straight jacket. Iran is a pile of rubble and bankrupt because of the war. Known fact. These people are mentally ill. If you put Chuck Schumer, think of the Democrats. Chuck Schumer. You've got Richard Blumenthal, who pretended he was in the Vietnam War. You have Chuck Schumer putting cheese on the grill on top of a frozen hamburger. This is how phony they are. Hakeem Jeffries is a despicable human being. Literally despicable. AOC, who's... I want to read the quote again. This is the squad that our mayor wants to join. When we've got a great congressman in Rob Bresnan. I mean, absolutely great. One of the best ever out of the gate. Republicans are trying to rig elections by only allowing U.S. citizens to vote. Yep, that's her quote. That's the level of intellect that our mayor is going to try to demonstrate if she ever gets to Washington. If she's going to embarrass us. Unbelievable. Yeah. Posing with drug dealers at the opening of their business she didn't know. This is insane. It's so bad, it's crazy. I always used to say the Democrat Party, you look at them, their leadership, it's like the bar scene in Star Wars. Well, that would be embarrassing to the aliens in the bar scene in Star Wars. It truly would when you think about these people. Wow. Unreal. All right, we'll take a break. And by the way, we say this again. This audience, there's a ton of Democrats listen. And I'm not anti-Democrat human being. I'm not anti-Democrat party. I'm anti the insane leadership. So I'm not asking you to change your party. I'm asking you, change your party. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you dutifully, proudly, patriotically by our man, John Basiliga. And it's still Basiliga Hospitality Week. So we salute the Basiliga Hospitality Group, ever expanding. But we start with the 3-bar restaurants that you're going to love. The Old Brook Inn, 307, Springbrook Township. I was up at my vet's last night picking up, outrageously priced medicine, I got to tell you, for Chauncey. And she said, I can't wait to go have a steak at Old Brook. I said, you're making my mouth water. The Far Street Tavern, the reimagined neighborhood tradition in the Great Trips Park section of Scranton. The Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Fine dining, the best anywhere. Atera 519 Linden Street, Scranton. The Stegmeyer Mansion, South Franklin Street. And don't forget, if you ever get a whim for a staycation, the amazing Fred Stegmeyer Mansion Bed and Breakfast. Sergei's Live, the nightclub will be hopping, and check out a movie at the Scranton Art House. It's awesome. That's where Jeff Walker and Kristen do their movie nights now. Larry Sims, he was from Drums. We lost him April 4th. He was battling cancer and kidney disease. Born in Hazleton, he spent the past 74 years in Drums. 1958 graduate of Hazleton High School. After graduation, he entered the U.S. Navy, where he received continuing education and became a seaman third class, providing naval support in London, England, from 1958 to 1961. He was very proud of his service to our country and the top secret work he assisted with. He was employed as manager of quality control for Dor Oliver. That was in Hazleton, 38 years. Then he worked at Lowe's in the plumbing department and Butler Township zoning and code enforcement officer. Active member of St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church and past president and life member of the Butler Township Fire Company. He also coached Valley East Little League. Member of the Clearwater Fishing Club, and he loved traveling in his RV. Surviving are his adoring wife of 59 years, the former Mary Ellen Mundy. 2 sons and a number of other relatives survive Larry Sims. Frank Stanek. We lost him at age 95, April 5th. He was from Ashley. Born in Luzerne County back in 1931. He was the devoted husband of his beloved late wife, Florence Stanek Tootsie, for an incredible 72 years. Member of the graduating class of 1949 at Ashley High School. He immediately joined the United States Air Force, where he became a radar supervisor, stationed in Albuquerque, New Mexico. After honorable discharge, Frank and Florence moved to Manville, New Jersey, and worked at John's Manville. They then moved back to Ashley, worked at Foster Wheeler. Not long after returning to Ashley, he and his wife opened Frank's Pizza in Ashley. During that time, he also trained to be a meat cutter. He also worked at Acme Markets. Busy guy. Avid fisherman. He taught all his sons, his nephews, sons-in-law how to do it. This is another great feat. He was a perfect score bowler at Stanton Lanes, Wilkes-Barre. 300. Wow. Despite his successes in both business, career, sports, all that, he was most proud of and always had the same answer: his 4 kids. He's survived by those 4 children, 2 sons, 2 daughters, 8 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, many nieces, nephews, and others. Frank Stanek. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast today. Partly sunny, not as warm. It'll be about 69. Tonight, overcast with a few showers, low 45. Tomorrow, chilly with periods of rain, high 48, low 40. So a miserable day, but I don't know. I like these miserable days. I really do. Watch a movie or whatever. Sunday, mostly cloudy, high 64, low 40. Monday, sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant. It'll be back in the 70s, low 44. Tuesday, considerable clouds with occasional rain and maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 65, low 51 as we get to the end of April. Those are the April showers that bring May flowers, and we need to know that, and that's why our friends at Montage Mountain Resort, where they're swinging in the spring, bring you the weather. It's 57 degrees at Montage Mountain right now. Hermits. I just got a chuckle out of the song. This date, 1965. They moved from number 12 to number 2 with their hit Mrs. Brown. You've got a lovely daughter. And did you hear the left-wing goofballs, the dummy-crats? They didn't even know that Hillary said, I will attack Iran. They didn't hear Kamala saying, Iran's the most serious threat. What do we say? They're divorced from fact, truth, and reality. They wear fact flak jackets so that the facts bounce off them. Unbelievable. Somebody texts in, Paige Cognetti and Billy Gaughan, President Joe Biden is their idol. Biden, a man who built his entire political career on lies, ruined and slandered the tractor-trailer driver's life that got in the tragic accident with his first wife. Said the innocent man was drunk. And by the way, the accident was the wife's fault. In 1987, he committed plagiarism while he was running for president. Oh, the scrappy kid from Scrappy. Hey, they gave him the image. David Axelrod gave him the image. He stole our brand. to make him normal. And as the listener points out, he's done nothing for Scranton. Nothing. Created Chinese shell accounts for his entire family, then ran for president on a hate rally in Virginia, which was a lie. It was a total lie. The guy is a scumbag. And they point out the Southern Poverty Law Center ran it. They paid to bus people in to do the white supremacy protests at Charlottesville. It's insane. Another says now has a stolen valor banner. Tear it down immediately. Biden, a total fraud and evil human being. He's just a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. We'll get to that later. But all right, when I get myself in a lather over that scumbag, and I want to think of something good. My DPW guys, they were there yesterday. They did their job, driving over bumpy, crappy streets provided by the mayor. But they get the job done, despite the hundreds of thousands of dollars the fool mayor spent on some consultant. We talk about all these people that are supporting her campaign. She's in Austin, Texas, raising money. She's in Washington. And any left-wing lunatic will do. Any left-wing lunatic with a checkbook will do. But she's paying, among the many consultants who are now supporting her campaign, people who I don't even know what they're doing. We've been picking up garbage in Scranton for, 150 years? It's insane. We're still paying for it. By the way, they got no results in the first 3 years of the contract. She renewed the contract with no results. This is your money. And we can't get a street paved. Cannot get a street paved. It's insanity. And you look at the disgrace that's New York City and the contemptible nothing called Mayor Mamdani. Guess who's running Cognetti's campaign for Congress? Mamdani's brain trust. Yep. One communist to another. The left-wing lunatics. It's beyond disgraceful. I'm telling you. It's sad. And then she's pretending she's normal. She would pull a Spanberger. She's not going to win. But she could if normal people stay home this fall. Just remember that. By the way, I'm drinking my tea with this 5 pounds of honey from the mulberry bush. They're not on Mulberry Street anymore. They're at Hopkins Farm Greenhouse, 502 River Road, Falls. And they're up there. I miss them terribly. I used to stop by and visit all the time. Well, my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me that it's going to be 9:50 momentarily, which means the Bloomberg Money Minute will find out the markets are open. You got to let this song play. You know that. Gosh, as we're getting to the end of the month here. Unbelievable, right? And that is, of course, Murph tells us Aretha Franklin, she released her hit, Respect, this date, 1967. So we're talking, I'm always talking to authors and various people. Charles Buffalino come up with a book about his cousin, Russell Buffalino, and the whole family and all that. So we're going to get it done with him in the future. And the morning show's doing it. I said, I don't care if the morning show does it. I said, it's a different audience, number one. And I want to publicize this book. It's a local author and a local subject. Couldn't get any better than that. So we're looking forward to, we'll get Charlie Buffalino on at some point in the near future. All right. Guys, there's nothing I can do about it because my Picardo Jewelers watch always tells the time accurately, and it tells me that it's 10 o'clock, which means it's time for the news. But I want to remind you, you could find them. It's an amazing jewelry store. And then when you walk in, you'll not only feel immediately welcome, have a cup of coffee, maybe depending on the time, have a little snort of something. You got a great little bar set up there, comfortable setting. And they're not just a jewelry store. They're an awesome jewelry store, the best. But they sell watches like nobody else around here does. Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, G-Shock, and, of course, my very own Picardo Jewelers watch, which I love. It says Picardo's right on it. And the live stream brought to you by 75 years in business. Roach Supply Plumbing, but they're kitchen and bath suppliers. They're the best. ROCHE, roachsupply.com. Check them out. They're bringing the live stream and my great, all-time great line of T-shirts and clothing. All right. Let's go to the news. We'll be back. Great. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, April 24th, 2026. Let me find my script. And it is 10:09 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch this beautiful day. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, celebrating Hospitality Week at all of their great facilities, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like Jerome Jerry Garbisek, Berwick, Joseph Lipka, Hazelton, Joseph Surdell, Miners Mills section of Wilkes-Barre, Robert Oleshik, Plains Township, late of Harrisburg, Frank Stanek, Ashley, and Larry Sims of Drums. So with history, our great founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Quite amazing. This is Southern. This is the left. This is who the Page Cognettis of the world are. Just believe them. We look at this congressional race, and we've got a candidate, Page Cognetti, who's an awful mayor, incompetent. That's very important. But then she's a left-wing lunatic on top of it to make it worse. She literally got max contributions from the Soros family members. I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, she wants to be a member of the squad. The insane anti-American lightweights. Somebody takes in, Bob, you can tell when a hate rally is manufactured. All of a sudden, government statues being torn down all over the country to create division. Everyone has perfectly printed signs from a vendor, and all the tiki torches are the same exact height and dimensions. All these protests, including the idiots at the No Kings protest. You've got to be, if they're not paying you, you've got to be the dumbest person on the planet, and among the dumbest people on the planet, to go to a No Kings protest. And the listener's right. They're designed to create division, and it's a total scam. You know it. That's what it is, guys. All right, well, I've told you over and over again about this great concert Joe Nardone's having. May 2nd at the Kirby Center, Wilkes-Barre, 7 o'clock. And among them, the people that'll be there is the Great Brooklyn Bridge. And we are joined by Jimmy Rosica of Brooklyn Bridge. Jimmy, great to have you back on the Bob Cordaro Show. We love you.
Hey, Bob. Good morning. Great to be here.
So tell us, you're on the road. How many times a year with Brooklyn Bridge?
Well, now at our current age, maybe 20 times a year. Not necessarily on the road either. I mean, some of the concerts are, here in New York or Long Island. I live on Long Island, but there are a couple of, major venues here that we also perform at. In the heyday, it could have been 150 times a year, 200 times a year.
You don't miss that, do you?
Not at all. Not at all. I just 2 days ago celebrated my 79th birthday, and things like singing at night have become a major problem. Driving to the engagement.
Yeah.
I'm looking into having some, cataract surgery. But that being said, it's getting to the concert that's the problem. Not being on stage. Being on stage feels, wonderful.
Do you still feel get that great feeling of because I one of the things about your group and you own that crowd when you're performing. I mean, they're with you. They're one with you.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of, I guess, singing the same songs for 60 years. The people who come to hear us, we kind of all grew up together.
Yeah.
I was 20 years old in March of 1968. So it's been a long time. As a matter of fact, we've been beginning our show when I have video available with a photo of Johnny Maestro, but the voice of Johnny essentially telling the audience what they've meant to us over the years and how we've all grown together. And, it's just a special feeling when we're on stage. And he concludes what he's saying by saying, this is our life and we love it. We'll continue to do it. And then he paused and he says, until we can't do it anymore, which is kind of, bittersweet now when John, Les, and Freddie had passed away.
And life is such. How did you get associated with the Brooklyn Bridge?
Well, there was no Brooklyn Bridge until myself, Tommy Sullivan, two members of a suburban garage band, went into Manhattan to meet Betty Sperber, who was managing Johnny. And Johnny and Betty were there, and they wanted to merge our seven-piece garage band with Johnny, and at that time, Johnny was singing with three other fellas, the Del Satins. So when we shook hands and we merged, now there were 11 of us. There were 7 of us, 4 of them. And if I'm doing my math right, I think that comes to 11.
You got it right. You got it right.
I got 100 on my math region. But in any event, when we did that, Betty got right on the phone and called Dave Zahn, who at that time was the president of Banner Talent. They were a pretty big booking agency by us. And Dave said, Betty said, Dave, Johnny Maestro is putting together a new 11-piece group. And Dave said that, geez, Betty, trying to sell that would be like trying to sell the Brooklyn Bridge. So she hung up, and now that's how the name came about.
How
and the Brooklyn Bridge was born, in that was the moment of conception, shall we say.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't like we were hanging out together. I saw Johnny Maestro, I guess, in the mid-'60s. Do you know who Murray the K is?
Oh, yeah, the old radio warhorse. Yeah.
He opened a huge place on Long Island here. It was the old Mitchell Field. And I remember seeing the Crests then, but it wasn't the original Crest, but it was Johnny. Johnny was singing with Lois Lee and a couple of other fellas. So I knew who Johnny was, and he would periodically come into a nightclub called the Cloud 9 a Go-Go on Long Island, and that's where I used to hang out, and my friend's father owned it. This is my friend's father, as a matter of fact, who told me about a battle of the bands, March of '68, and why don't I come down, with my friends, And I told him that we've never even played out of my basement. He says, "What have you got to lose?"
Yeah.
So we threw a set together, and Johnny happened to be in the audience or viewing the band. I think he was looking to expand, what he was doing, because the Del Sounds at that time with Johnny were more akin to a lounge act. They would pick up whatever band was at the club and do some songs, but it wasn't like they were not my favorite band to go see at that time. I mean, I guess around 19, but I certainly recognized the quality of the voice, and as a singer, he was the real deal. But I don't even know if I put it together that he sang 16 Candles, because I was born in 1947, and 16 Candles came out in 58, and it peaked in early 59.
Yeah.
So I was only 11 years old, 12 years old. I wasn't really paying that much attention to the radio. I mean, I remember being attracted to the sound of the Everly Brothers. I love the way they harmonized, but primarily I was into the instrumental groups of that period. Dave Baby Cortez or Duane Eddy or the Ventures or Johnny and the Hurricanes. But when I met Johnny and we agreed to merge, he gave us a reel of tape. And in 2 weeks from that day, we were all going to meet one another, because in the office at that time, it was just me, Tommy Sullivan, Betty Sperber, and Johnny Maestro. It was just the four of us. The other guys in the band and the other Manhattans, they had no idea what was going on. And when I came home that night from Manhattan, back to Hicksville — I'm from Hicksville, Long Island — I was a member of a new band called the Brooklyn Bridge. 2 weeks from that day, we met, we rehearsed, and I would say probably maybe 2 weeks from the rehearsal, we were on stage in New Jersey. I can't think of the name off the top of my head of our first engagement. The Satellite Lounge, I think it was called, the Satellite Lounge. And, we played. It was kind of a disaster, but we got through the night.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you, we're talking with Jimmy Ruzicka. He's a walking, talking music history.
Well,
Jimmy, do you have a minute to hang on through a commercial break? Do you have a minute for us?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
We're gonna talk to you on the other side of this. We're talking with Jimmy Ruzicka, Brooklyn Bridge. He'll be here. Joe Nardone's throwing on another great bash at the Kirby Center, May 2nd, 7 o'clock at the Kirby, with Brooklyn Bridge among the bands. We'll take a break and be back with Jimmy Ruzicka. Jimmy Rosique is with us, Brooklyn Bridge. Jimmy, you get to be a little proud. You're 79. You're still making it happen. Does it ever? Do you ever sit back and reflect of the enormity of what you've been able to do with your career with the Brooklyn Bridge?
Well, recently, I don't want to get morbid on you, but about 2 years ago, my younger brother passed away, and I find myself reflecting on the various decades of my life.
Yeah.
When I was in the Bronx, when I moved to Hicksville, but when I was 19, all the way till now, there's almost 6 decades that I've been a member of the Brooklyn Bridge, and over that period of time, we've we were all young. Then, guys started to get married, and then started to have children, raise families, and and then guys started to pass away, so to speak. So I've been thinking. I do think a lot lately about the early days. When there were 11 of us, and then the various iterations of the group. In the early 70s. For our fourth album, for example, the band was significantly different than the music that we recorded on our first album. And then after that album, we went down to 5 pieces, just me, Johnny, Les, Freddie, and Louis Agesta, who is still our current drummer. Louis has been with us about 53, 54 years now. But yes, I do reflect and kind of reminisce the various periods of Brooklyn Bridge's history. And sadly, 6 of the original 11 have passed. We lost Carolyn about 6 weeks ago. Carolyn Wood, she passed away unexpectedly. But we all went to high school together. 6 of us went to high school together, and so we still, those that are still living, we are still the best of friends, even though we're spread across the country.
Yeah.
But I do think about just things that I've done, acts that I've performed with, people that I used to listen to their records, and then I got to open up for them, groups like the Beach Boys, the Four Seasons, the Temptations, and, my heroes, so to speak.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, yes, I do.
Well, it's been a storied career, and the greatest thing of all, it ain't over yet. And we get to see you and hear you on May 2nd at the Kirby Center. Jimmy Rosique of the Brooklyn Bridge, thank you for being with us and spending the time. And we're beyond excited to have you come into town again.
Well, Bob, we're excited to be there, and hopefully we'll have a wonderful show. All the acts on the show are first rate.
Yes.
So it's going to be a nice evening.
Looking forward to it.
And I look, hopefully we'll run into one another.
All right, my friend. Jimmy Rosique, right. Brooklyn Bridge.
All right, Bob.
Can't get any better than that. We'll take a break and we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, proudly, dutifully brought to you by our man John Basiliga. It's Basiliga Hospitality Group Hospitality Week. So get in on the action, get in on the fun. At the Old Brook Inn in 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Trips Park section of West Scranton, the Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant, and there's fine dining, a Terra 519 downtown Scranton. I can't wait to get there this weekend. And the Stegmeyer Mansion. It is awesome. The bar, the whole package. Don't forget about the Fred Stegmeyer Mansion if you have somebody coming to town. It's also on South Franklin Street, and it is the best place to stay in Northeast Pennsylvania. Sergei's The Nightclub. They'll be open tonight and tomorrow with big doings. Joseph Lipka. We lost him February 8th at age 95. His family said he was reunited with the love of his life, Palmina. Born in Hazleton, Joe lived his dash as fully as he could. He began his journey by leaving school and heading to Los Angeles with a few buddies, only to return home when drafted. Upon that return, he was blessed with meeting his soon-to-be wife. They met in January, engaged in February, married in April. They started their lives together in New Jersey, eventually moving to Hazleton. They were married just short of 70 years. Though he held various jobs, the one he spoke most about was as a furnace operator for Foster Wheeler. It was a job that filled him with great pride. He'd often go to Snape's Bakery to be sure he had enough bread for his backyard squirrels. He loved to tell a joke, good, bad, or indifferent. He didn't care. He was remembered for his smile, contagious laughter, and the many hats that he wore. Preceding him in death were his beloved wife, Palmina. And he's survived by his daughter, granddaughter, grandson, and great-granddaughter. Joseph Lipka. Thomas Serdell. We lost him at age 96, March 30th. He was an Army veteran from the Miners Mills section of Wilkes-Barre. Born and raised in that great city, he married the love of his life, Roberta Burry Serdell. Attended Coughlin High School. Employed by Burns Sign Company for over 35 years until retirement. Joseph was a devoted husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, and friend to all. A skilled electrician, carpenter, harmonica player. He was at one point a dance instructor. His favorite dance, the salsa. He enjoyed the simple things. Preceded in death by his beloved wife, Roberta, and tragically a granddaughter, Jessica Krupp. Surviving are his 7 children and all of their spouses, his 11 grandchildren, his 5 great-grandchildren, 2 of his sisters. An amazing legacy, Joseph Serdell. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by our man John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group, where it's Hospitality Week. AccuWeather forecast. Today, partly sunny and not as warm, 69 degrees. Well, Montage Mountain, it's 59 right now. Tonight, overcast with a few showers, low 45. Well, it's going to stay in the 40s tomorrow. Chilly with periods of rain, high 48, low 40. Sunday gets a little better, mostly cloudy, but a high of 64 and a low of 40. Monday, sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant, high 71, low 44. Tuesday, considerable clouds with occasional rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 65, low 51. So April showers bringing May flowers, but we'll get to enjoy it all. And that is your weather, brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain Resort, who, again, tell us it's 59 degrees up on the mountain. Neil Diamond. This date, 1971, he moved from number 12 to number 6 with his hit, I Am, I Said. Linda Keene, my old friend and administrative assistant to the Scranton family, threw a beautiful little event at the Waverly Country Club for my friend Doc Doherty, who was maybe the biggest Neil Diamond fan. And I think of him every time I hear Neil. And that was a beautiful tribute to Doc on Saturday. Let's go to the blower because we've got Mike Linko. He's with Unico, and they've got their big soccer cup on Sunday. And the weather, according to Montage Mountain and AccuWeather, is going to participate and help you out.
Yeah, thank God. You know, I was a little worried about the weather going on this Saturday with the rain. I'm thinking, God, I hope it don't spill into Sunday. It looks like we're going to get a break. But, yeah, it's our annual Unico Soccer Cup. It's the 2025 Cup that got deferred because of the weather. And we're having it at Spartan Stadium. The girls' game starts at noon. The boys' game starts approximately 2 o'clock. The game's going to be in memory of our longtime soccer chair, Melanie Narrow, good friend from Dunmore, and a real wonderful person. And we're dedicating the game in her memory, and as well as the most valuable player trophies. It's going to be $5 a person. We're trying to promote this and try to make this probably not going to exceed the levels of the dream game, but we want to get there, and soccer's a growing sport.
We got great soccer around here now. We really do.
We do. It's starting to grow, so we're inviting the public to come out and support Unico, support Melanie Narrow, and support this event. It's getting chaired with the American Cancer Society, so hopefully this will start growing some legs, and it'll be a nice event going forward.
So it's kicking off at noon at Mid-Valley High School, Underwood Road.
Yes, sir.
Is that Troop or Oliphant?
That's Troop, yeah.
Okay, all right. One of my hometowns.
Yeah.
I'm an old trooper. Well, that's great. And so the girls' all-star team will play first, the boys next against each other. What a great event. And I'm telling you, that's a lot of moving parts. You guys do a lot of work to put this on. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, it was, there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, but I love doing it. I've always been a high school sports nut. I mean, I run into at all the football games when I go see Dunmore play. So it'll be fun.
Well, Mike Linko, thanks for bringing it to our attention. We love talking to you this week. Sunday,
likewise.
Starting
thanks
at noon.
Unico
Unico, the Unico Soccer Cup. Women will kick off at noon. The boys after that. And it's just a great afternoon of soccer with all of our best in the area, and Unico's bringing it all to you for and in honor of my cousin Melanie Narrow. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mike.
God bless you, Bob. Take care.
Appreciate it, brother. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back, and don't forget to thank your DPW worker because they picked up your garbage this week, among many other duties. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Murph tells us this date, 1982. They had the number one hit. I love rock and roll. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Biden banner disgrace, day 130. The Green Ridge Neighborhood Association, and I urge you to contact them, politely but firmly telling them to take the banner down. Joe Biden was given a hometown hero banner meant for veterans, when in fact the scumbag had dodged service many times. And he's stealing valor by having a hometown hero banner. And it's been up day 130, and the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association, they know that it's wrong. But they're dummycrats. They're idiots. They won't take it down. They won't do the right thing. So let's help them. Biden banner disgrace, day 130. We now find out the entire reason he claimed he ran for president was not only based upon a lie of what Donald Trump said, but it was based upon a left-wing lunatic Democrat support group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, paying people to protest as white supremacists, bussing them in. Just as disgusting as the hometown hero banner. Joe Biden, a disgrace. Take it down. My man Rick Bigelow, we were talking about this yesterday, and just a great historian, great patent attorney too, by the way, and a veteran, as was his father. He tells me the night PT-109 was sunk, this is JFK's boat, it was part of a large group of PT boats attempting to stop the nightly, what they called the Tokyo Express, that was running troops and supplies to Guadalcanal from Japanese bases further up the Solomon Islands chain. The so-called Tokyo Express, it was a group of high-speed Japanese destroyers that would take fuel, supplies, and troops to Guadalcanal every night. They traveled at night because the U.S. controlled the air during the day, and it was too dangerous for them to do it at night. It was common for the Japanese destroyers to move at high speed with all their running lights extinguished. Remember what we said? There was always the suspicion, and there were outright statements that JFK screwed up as commander of the PT-109. We all agreed it was heroic after that. Anyway, Rick points out it was also common for the PT boats to go get onto station and then cut their engines so they could hear the Japanese ships approaching, even if they couldn't see them. The slot between the various Solomon Islands where the Tokyo Express ran and the PT boats patrolled was always extremely dark at night because there was almost always a heavy cloud cover, even at night. So Rick concludes the collision was just the confluence of several random events. The 109 did not have radar. Only a few boats in the squadron had it. Radar development was in its early stages, and the Navy was just learning how to use it. He says, I don't think the collision was JFK's fault. It was just one of those wartime things. And thank you for that, Rick. I knew there was a more balanced. And by the way, just because Joe Kennedy knew how to turn on the press machine to make his son a war hero, which he was, and to publicize it across the country doesn't mean that doesn't mean he wasn't a war hero. So that's a good thing in any event. Somebody says, Bob, don't let them off the hook on the stolen valor banner. These evildoers unlawfully. No, that didn't put me away. Same mentality, though. Same mentality. We're watching the same mentality. Somebody texts in about Biden. Bobby died service because of asthma, but somehow was a star athlete in high school and college. He made that up. He wasn't a star athlete. By the way, this is an interesting point. I don't know if the statute of limitations on a civil action would have passed. But one of the listeners points out, no one's talking about the liability because the hate rally ginned up by the Southern Poverty Law Center. One person died, 35 injured, when a deranged man drove into a crowd of peaceful protesters. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in my view, should be held liable for the death of the innocent woman and 35 wrongly injured because of the paid protest. Lawsuits and class action lawsuits against the Southern Poverty Law Center should be filed. Hit them in the pocketbook where it matters. Fascinating. I don't disagree with you. They're a disgrace. My man Fred Duckman says, wow, Murray the K and his swinging soiree. Remember, Fred Rosica brought that up. Listen to Wins 10 a.m. on the dial while growing up in New Jersey. He was a member of Murray's submarine, what was this called? The Submarine Race Watchers Club. How about that, Fred? That's great stuff. Murray the K, he's right up there with Imus, Wolfman Jack, all of them. Amazing stuff in any event. We're headed towards 11 o'clock. We're going to talk a little bit about the draft. I'm going to ask him about this Coach Vrabel thing. He started going out with a girl who was a sports reporter for the New York Times. And I'm like, so what? Maybe I'm missing something here. But I may ask him about that in addition to the draft. But Chet Parlavecchio will be with us on the other side. It is 11 o'clock on my Picardo Jewelers watch. That tells me we'll step aside for Brian Hughes, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. You know it, baby. Great good morning, everyone. It is 11:06 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch this beautiful Friday, April 24th, 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like Joseph Surdell, Miners Mills section of Wilkes-Barre. Joseph Lipka, Hazleton. Frank Stanek, Ashley. Larry Sims, Drums. Robert Oleshik, Plains Township, Leda Harrisburg. And Jerome Jerry Garbisick, Berwick. So with history, our great founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. We promise. Somebody texted, Bob, the truth matters. Biden's falsehoods and the Democrat Party narratives now finally exposed with the Southern Poverty Law Center grand jury indictment. Yep. And the Fox News narratives, they're not narratives, they're news. So I want to correct you there. A narrative to me is when you're telling a story despite the facts. We're going to keep slugging, so thank you for that. Well, there's a little thing going on called the NFL Draft out here in Pittsburgh, and it's going, and it's happening. And we got our guy. We got a guy for that. Penn State star, New Jersey Hall of Famer, NFL star, and so much more, including Dancing with the Stars contestant. Our man, Chet Parlavecchio, he's back. How are you, my man?
The mensch is back.
The Monday mensch on a Friday.
Mensch on a Friday. Got his days confused.
We love
What's up,
it.
buddy?
We love it.
How's
Hey,
everything?
I want to ask you a question.
Good.
I was actually looking for an excuse to get you on, and a bunch of people said, wait, don't you get Chet on to talk about the draft? But what do you know anything about this nonsense with the New England coach? What is going on there?
I mean, obviously, he made a bad decision. I mean,
how?
You know,
he liked
how?
the girl.
Yeah, I mean, but they're both married. I mean,
okay. I didn't even know that.
She's married with 2 kids, and he's married with a bunch of kids. And,
okay.
It's still, hey, listen, if that's your gumad, you got to do what you got to do. But
Vrabel. All right.
You're in the public eye, and it's just a lack of discretion. I mean, just a stupid thing. And like you said, what do you say? I mean, it's just not. It doesn't look good. It's just not a good look. And
I didn't know he was married or that she was. So okay, now I get it.
This went on for a long. And for what I'm learning now, this went on for a long time. So who the hell knows? I mean, something, Bobby. I got other things to do when I get up.
Yeah. You damn linebackers. That's what you do.
Right.
Hey, you're so good looking is what happens.
Unbelievable.
Well, all right. So, Chet, we're in the midst of the NFL draft. Has anything happened exciting? I know you participated in it as a college student.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
Well, again, I was very fortunate. I got drafted. It was not until the 6th round, but that's fine. It was I got drafted.
What was it like What was it like that day? I mean, you know the NFL draft's coming. You don't know what's going to happen, or maybe you do. I don't know. But what did you know, and what was the experience of that day like for Chet Parlavecchio?
That's a great question. For everybody, it's different. For me, it was real simple. The first day came, and back then in the early 80s, remember ESPN had just started their broadcast. They had not been around real long, and they only did the first round. After that, you were to the telephone, sitting in your living room, waiting, hoping to God that phone rang.
Yeah.
So I knew I wasn't going in the first round. So all of us, back then, Munch we knew was going in the first round. We knew Sean Farrell was going in the first round.
Well, the funny part about that I always love is that Munchak went ahead of Farrell. Farrell got all the attention, and Munchak went ahead of him. I loved it.
Irish. But anyway, I don't think he found it too funny, but it was whatever. But again, everybody has a story. And we're having a little fun here, so I got a great one for you. So anyway, I'll tell you mine first. So now we go to the local bar downtown Penn State. We're seniors. We can go have a beer. And all the boys are meeting. Everybody's nervous. Sean and Munch pretty much know. So we go to Sean's house, all of us, and have like a draft party. And we're sitting there. Back then it was just all teammates. And we see them get drafted. Now, here's a hilarious thing with the Sean Farrell story. So now, Sean comes from an affluent family. Sean's father's one of the finest surgeons on Long Island. Doc Farrell had been one of the great, just a brilliant man. And so Sean, we always used to call Sean Dad because he was the only one of us that had any money in his pocket.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the big rear end, if you get my point.
Uh-huh.
He didn't have to be, shall I say, at the mercy of the draft. So here the draft starts. Munch goes, I think, the fifth or sixth pick. He goes to Houston. And then Sean goes, and we're all sitting having a beer, watching. And then Sean's getting ready to go. And this is a true story. The phone rings, and it's Green Bay. And they're telling Sean, we're going to take you in the next round. We just want to let you know you're going to go in the next round, whatever the hell the pick was, you're going to go. And Sean's going, no, I'm not. And the guy goes, what do you mean, no, you're not? He goes, I told you, I don't want to play in no cold weather city. I'm going to Canada. And the guy,
God.
Sean, are you kidding me? And Bobby, this was hilarious. So now understand, we're all sitting watching the TV, and we see the Green Bay table, and they're panicking. They're looking at each other going, this guy's not going to come. Are you
Plus,
kidding?
he doesn't know that Canada's north.
He goes, this guy's not coming. He said he won't. He said if we draft him, he's not going to come. He's going to go to Canada. And Sean's adamant, and he's got a smile on his face sitting there on the phone. And we're howling. We're in the room. We're drinking, we're howling. And you see them panicking. So, again, Green Bay finally says, all right, to hell with it. And I forget who they took. And then 4 or 5 picks later, Tampa Bay calls Sean. And he goes, I like that city. He goes, yep, I'll come. No problem. Thank you. And he goes to Tampa Bay. But now, Bobby, the funny part about that you don't realize – that's about 5 picks later.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money that is, being a top 10 pick opposed to 10 through 20? Do you know the money difference?
Wow.
All because he didn't want to be cold? So now we're howling. We're just getting the biggest kick out of it. The draft day ends, so now that's fine. That's that. Now the next day, they're doing the rest of the rounds. So we all meet at the bar, and our little college bar, and we all go, and we're all nervous.
Now, this is the old days. There's no cell phones.
Remember,
how did you tell? Who did you tell? Hey,
it was a phone call that you're.
But how do they know where to find you?
Well, you exactly. You leave a message where you're going to be. So now the day starts. We sit. Boom. I didn't know I was going to. I figure I'm not going to first round. Boom. Second day comes. I'm sitting. We go down, have a few beers, and then the draft starts. And we all go back to our apartments. My wife is up there with me. We're sitting, we're waiting. Now, I was supposed to go in the 4th round to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting, I'm nervous as could be. Nothing's happening, and boom, boom, boom. Then I hear the 4th round, and remember, it's not on TV.
Yeah.
It's not, they didn't have it. And I said, oh, my God, the 4th round's got to be. I start crying. And I'm like saying, oh, my God, I lived my life for this. Oh, man. All of a sudden, the phone rings, and I pick it up. It's late in the day. I don't know what has just transpired, and it's a woman's voice, and she goes, Chet, how are you? And I went, who the hell is this? She goes, Chet, I don't know. I think you want this call. She goes, I don't want no girls calling my room, damn it. She goes, honey, don't hang up. I think you want this call. She goes, Coach Starr would like to say hello to you. And I went, Coach Starr, meaning Bart Starr. I said, Coach Starr? And I said, yeah, I'm sorry. She goes, it's all right, baby. She had a nice little Southern. She goes, it's okay, honey. She goes, Bart Starr gets on and goes, Chet, I'd just like to welcome you all to the Green Bay Packers. And I was just ecstatic. Like I called home.
And you're a lifetime Packer fan, too, because of Lombardi.
Huge Lombardi. How could you not be? You're Italian. How could you not be a Lombardi fan?
Wow.
And as a kid, I have pictures of myself in that. And everybody has a story. Everybody on draft day. And back then, it was something nice about it because you just waited to hear that phone ring. You were just waiting for that phone to ring. And I got nervous because I knew the draft. And they wound up, Philly, taking a linebacker from Ohio State in the 4th round, not me. And, so I always had Jones from Philadelphia. I never had I always had a thing, but that.
You gave them the Malocchio, which by the way, which worked for a while.
Yeah. But on the other end, on the coaching end, it's much different. You know what I mean? The whole thing, the process. So I learned it from both ends as a player, waiting for the draft, and then being with the Titans, all those years, obviously we did the draft. And like I said, it's a painstaking process. It really is. It's an interesting process. Obviously it starts as soon as the season ends. Free agency. You're only one. When you do it from the coaching perspective or the front office perspective, you realize that you're one of two things. You're either building according to need, or you're taking the best athletes that are available. You have one or two philosophies of how you're going to handle the draft. And free agency, a lot of times, will tell you which way you're going. In other words, if I fulfill all my big needs in free agency, that's why that becomes so important. I will not, now when I go to the draft, it allows me the leverage to get the best available athlete. But if I don't fulfill those important needs through free agency, now I have to fulfill those needs through the draft. So it's an interesting dynamic. One is dependent upon the other on what your philosophy is going to be as you enter the draft. Now, after free agency, once you know what you have, you know where you're leaning as far as what position you want to draft, you attempt to get in the draft. For instance, then we go to work. I mean, we go after free agency, after we evaluate all the free agents, we go to the draft and we start evaluating, sitting in our offices every day in the off season, me for linebackers, and I'm looking at every linebacker in America. And I'm making my own philosophy. I'm grading them, and I'm watching film, and I'm ranking them. Then from that process, we have meetings with the regional scouts. The regional scouts will come in. I'll go upstairs.
Are these scouting services, or do you have your own in the NFL?
No, we have our own scouts.
Okay.
Our own hired the Titan scouts. And we go up into the war room, and we'll go upstairs, and every position has their day. And I'm sitting there with the head coach, the defensive coordinator, the general manager, and the scouts. And then we go over all the linebackers. For my case, it was linebacker. And we'll go over every linebacker. It's actually interesting sometimes, like one year, the guy said to me, goes, Coach, I'm doing Eastern. He was part of the East Coast region he had, and he was doing Rutgers. And they had a linebacker at the time, a kid named Kasim Green, who wound up playing for Chicago, who was a great player, believe it or not, at Rutgers, was my captain in high school. He played for me, my state championship Elizabeth team.
Wow. And
I followed Kasim his whole career. Obviously, we watch. He goes, Coach, I know you know Kasim well. He said, but, I think he has some limitations as far as taking on blockers. I looked at the guy across. I said, it took you that long to figure that out? I knew that when he was 16. And he started, we just started laughing. So there is some levity in the room from time to time.
But a lot of science and a lot of art involved in the picking.
Well, here's the interesting part to this. Let me finish this process, this procedure, because at the end you're going to be staggered by something. So now you go through all that self-evaluation. I'm grading, ranking linebackers, have my big meeting with the scouts. Then you go to the combine where you personally interview You have there's a room at the combine, whether it's in Indianapolis, there's an old hotel there that's a train station, and every team gets their own room. And you're allowed X amount of number of in-person interviews where you could say, we want to talk to this guy, this guy, this guy. That was the famous where I had the interview with whatchamacall, and to this day, I still don't know if there was a girlfriend or not. Who was the guy from Notre Dame that had that? Remember with the Samoan name? I forget. Manti Te'o. I still to this day don't know what happened, and he explained it to me. Me and Muntz looked at each other and said, "Did you get what he just said?" I said, "I have no idea what just happened here." But anyway, you're allowed X amount of interviews, and in person, where you really get to grill the kid, and you bring him in, especially if you think he's going to be a high draft pick of yours, and you get to sit with him and talk with him, and everybody asks questions, and position coach gets to look at film with him. And like I said, we knew we were going after a linebacker or two, so we did that, you know what I mean? And so after the combine, then draft day happens, and that's always an interesting thing because we're all in the facility, but none of the position coaches are allowed upstairs until they call you if they need you. So I'm downstairs watching a Ranger Flyer game. So Munch knew where I was. He said, "I guarantee Chet's watching a Ranger game." I said, "If you need me, I'm down here." And they're all upstairs, and then a million things happen in the draft. You project who you project, who you think you want, who this, who that. And in the end, Bobby, after all of that, like I remember the one time I get called upstairs, "Chet, we lost your third pick, or the guy you had ranked third, which was Levante David, the kid that plays for Tampa Bay." And he still plays to this day, a matter of fact. And I said, "All right, you lost him." And then he said, "Chet, we need to fill this position." I said, "Well, I like the kid from South Carolina." And we took a kid from South Carolina that ran well, hybrid player, kind of strong safety linebacker, and we took him. So my point, that's what happens. I get a call downstairs,
Yeah.
"Chet, we need you upstairs. Here's what's left on the board. Here's what's gone. Ba-beep, ba-bop." And that's how the draft goes till it's over. Now, the funny thing, Bobby, after all of that, after free agency, after your draft prep, after the combine, after in-person interviews, meetings with the scouts, after all that, 40 to 50% of the first rounders will be a bust every year. Isn't that amazing? 40 to 50% of the first rounders will be a bust. I mean, Danny Beyond the other day, an old teammate of mine at Penn State, we fooled around. We were doing both our drafts. Danny went the year after me, the national championship year. I went the year before. And we found that literally my draft was a disaster. My draft, 55% of the first round never even played.
Amazing.
Is that amazing? So with all the grilling, all the expertise, because on that day, everybody thinks they left better. No matter who you talk to in the National Football League, everybody congratulates themselves, and everybody thinks they got better. And then the reality happens. You got to play. And you find out, this guy wasn't quite what I thought he was. This guy's a little slower than I thought he was. This guy's not as big as I thought he was. And even then, they make mistakes.
Yeah.
So my point is, it's the most insecure science or unsure science of valuation of anything there is, because you're dealing with human nature.
Yeah.
You're dealing with humans. And in the end, the kid that went in the fifth round, the sixth round, you see it all the time, rises up, takes somebody's job, and becomes a bona fide football player for many years. And the first rounders, many times, fall by the wayside and go bye-bye.
Chet, as to this year's draft, any surprises so far?
No, locally, I mean, I'm not going to handle the whole first round, but I said we'll do our locals here. I mean, Philadelphia, real quick. Again, I think that kid's a hell of a tough kid, Mekhi Lemon. He can catch the football, not real big. What I like about Mekhi Lemon is he could line up he's again wide receiver from the USC. Good speed, not great speed, not separation speed, but runs great routes. Can play in the slot, and his biggest attribute is he's a great runner after the catch. And I also think for Philadelphia fans, that's a signal that A.J. Brown might be gone. I think they're going to lose him. I think he's going to go to sign out or whatever's going to happen. They're going to trade him. But I think he's on the way out. In Pittsburgh, again, that was a great little, as the Pittsburgh pick came up, that was awesome, all that. Bobby, I can't believe that many people go sit there and watch the draft.
I know.
I wouldn't do that if you let me announce them. I'm not sitting there.
You barely did it when you were getting paid to be
Exactly.
there.
I didn't want to be there. I mean, so are you kidding? I get fascinated by that. But anyway, this kid, Max Inga, his name is Ahina Kor from Arizona State. Big physical tackle, big kid. And you know what's funny, Bobby? You look at the trend in the first round. Again, how the game has changed from my day. Only 2 quarterbacks went. Only 1 running back went. All edge rushers, offensive tackles, because you got to protect that backside of your quarterbacks. And for Pittsburgh, literally to draft an offensive tackle before they have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're telling you a little something. We think it's better. Let's protect whatever we eventually go get. So I think Pittsburgh is telling you something by drafting a tackle. And then on our side here in New York, again, big edge rushers between the Jets with David Blaley from Texas Tech and Arvell Reese, the linebacker from Ohio State from the Giants, 2 hybrid edge rushers. I mean, doesn't anybody have the pure name of linebacker anymore? Doesn't anybody line up at 4.5 yards depth, play inside the box between the tackles? Everybody is a hybrid. Everybody in this league now runs 4.45, 4.5, like both these guys. They're both 240 pounds, and they both can rush the passer. So it shows you that draft sometimes creates a picture. The value now, how it has changed, how edge rushers are the money defensive picks. Tackles are the big, again, you could always convert a tackle to guard if you have to, which I do. I really believe that the Giants are going to do with the kid they took from Miami, Francis Mwagwa, 6'5", 330-pound tackle out of Miami. But I think they're going to move him inside. They're pretty set at guard. So you can even convert tackles into guards, which the Philadelphia Eagles did with Mekhi Beckham. That worked really well. I think that's a trend in the league. So, again, no running backs taken other than the kid Love in Notre Dame. Only 2 quarterbacks, 1 completely unproven. The kid Simpson that the Rams picked up. I'm shocked at that. He's legitimately 1-year starter. To me, he's the 13th pick of the draft. I'm actually kind of shocked.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I like to pick that whatchamacallit took the Jets late in the draft, Omar Cooper. That kid's a big dude. He's the kid that caught the ball against Penn State from Indiana and beat us in the back of the end zone. He's 6'5", runs great routes, high points footballs. So I think all 4 teams fulfilled their needs. I think they went after. Although in Harbaugh's case, I think that was the best athlete available. I think that with Reese, he went for. Yeah, I think he went for and that's a Harbaugh trait. He likes the best athlete available. So I think in the Giants' case, they went for the best athlete. And like I said, you see what happens for the rest of it. You start to put a picture together. Look at Dallas already signed Dexter Lawrence in free agency. Huge. Telling you what direction they're going. Then signed the safety from Ohio State, one of the best players, top 3 players in the draft, supposedly. The safety. So you see, Dallas can score on anybody. They just can't stop anybody. So they're, again, fulfilling needs. They're on the defensive side. And if you look at each team and you read their draft, you can identify where you think they're weak and, where obviously they need to address, the areas they need to address. It's interesting. Like I said, it's not a sure. It's not a perfect science. And like I said, you watch at the end. At the end, almost half of these first rounders they'll be busts. It happens every year.
Well, the guy that was on both sides, getting drafted and picking draft choices, Chet Parlavecchia, we went right to the source. We appreciate it, my man, very much.
My pleasure, buddy. You're going to be at you're going to be at the golf thing? Will I see you there?
Of course. All right, brother. You know it.
All right.
Thanks, Chester. Appreciate it. Chet Parlavecchia on the NFL draft. He's our Monday mensch on a Friday. We'll take a break and be back. Our Veterans Tribute brought to you by our man John Basiliga. It's Hospitality Week at the Basiliga Hospitality Group. Check it out. I have been and will be. That includes the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Forest Street Tavern in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton, the Queen City Tavern in Oliphant. Two of the best fine dining venues you will see anywhere on the planet, and I mean that. Atera 519, downtown Scranton. The Stegmaier Mansion on South Franklin, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Sergei's, the nightclub, outstanding. Scranton Art House. They're doing it all. Basiliga Hospitality Group. Robert Oleschik. He was 75 when we lost him March 29th. He was living with his family in Harrisburg, but he was from Plains Township. His family says he lived a beautiful life, guided by respect for God and his country. Born in Wilkes-Barre, attended St. Joseph Elementary, then Plains Memorial High School, where he played basketball. Enlisted in the United States Air Force during the Vietnam War, serving in Arizona, Nevada, Vietnam, and Thailand. Achieved the rank of sergeant. After military service, he pursued higher education at King's College, dual degrees in communications and computer science, and began a long career with the United States Post Office, 38 years. While working at the Postal Service, Robert met his future wife, Joan Doherty. They got married in 1976 in Plains and had recently marked their 50th wedding anniversary, raising their daughter, Tara. After retiring from the Postal Service, he worked for Cornerstone Credit Union for 5 years. He was a member of Fox Hill Country Club because he loved his golf. His life was marked by deep Christian faith, evident in all he did. Member of St. Joseph Church in Hudson. Knights of Columbus. Every Easter season, he would read the Passion of the Christ on Good Friday or the washing of the feet on Holy Thursday. He also played Santa Claus for the kids across the valley. Member of the American Legion Post Plains. He's survived by his loving wife, Joan of Harrisburg, his daughter, Terry Pennypacker, and husband, Jason, of that same city, his grandchildren, and other family members. Robert Oleschik. Jerome Jerry Garbisick. He was from Berwick. We lost him at age 83, March 29th. Born in Drums, graduate of Central Columbia High School's class of 1962. Proudly served in the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War. He then had a long career with the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, from which he retired. Member of the Knapp Lodge of the Free and Accepted Masons and of the Jesse Thomas American Legion Post, Shick-Shinny. Avid outdoorsman, hunting, trapping, fishing. Took pride in his organic garden and loved canning the produce he grew. He also enjoyed coin collecting. His legacy is extensive. Between children and stepchildren, 9. A slew of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, in addition, nieces, nephews, cousins. Preceded in death by his longtime companion, Nancy Hopper, her son, Don, and her stepson, Jesse. Also preceded in death by 9 siblings. Amazing legacy. Jerry Garbisick of Berwick. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. Let's see. Today, partly sunny, not as warm, about 69. Tonight, overcast with a few showers, low 45. Tomorrow, that's the crappy day. Chilly with periods of rain, high 48, if that, low 40. Sunday, mostly cloudy, high 64, low 40. Monday, sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant, high 71, low 44. Thursday, considerable clouds with occasional rain and maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 65, low 51. And right now, 63 degrees at Montage Mountain. They bring you the weather. Well, you know what this song means. It means Tina Morocco's here. She's global sales advisor at Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. You can look her up at Sotheby's in Naples or go right to the source, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. She is your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. Tina, how are you today?
Well, I'm walking on sunshine, that's for sure.
We know that. That's always true. Even when it's raining, you're walking on sunshine.
Definitely.
So tell us, what do you have on your mind today?
So today, actually, I was thinking about this. The other day, I was going for a walk, and all these cyclists passed me. And they all had on the same shirt. It was the WinStar Cycling Club. And I got to thinking, you know, in Southwest Florida, like almost all of the real estate here is lifestyle driven. It's not driven by school districts or where exactly you want to live. It's mostly driven by what you want to do when you're here.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether you're a golfer or whether you're a boater or fisherman or whatever, whatever it is you want to do, that's where you want to live. And so I think a lot of hesitation sometimes when people are thinking about moving to Southwest Florida and they don't know anybody, they kind of panic and they're like, how am I going to meet people? I don't have any friends or family down there. But a lot of these communities here, so for instance, WinStar, what I was just talking about, the cyclists, that's a golf community and a boating community. But there's so many different clubs within the community that, there's really something to do for everyone. And you've got to remember, like, people here, nobody's from Southwest Florida, just about, so everybody comes from somewhere else. So when they come from somewhere else, they're looking for connections. And a lot of the times they're thinking like, okay, well, if I move to a golf club and my wife doesn't golf, who is she going to hang out with, So, but there's a lot of stuff to do beyond just, your little community. So for instance, I was just looking at WinStar, all these different clubs that they have. They have a fishing club, a wine club, a book club, a cigar club, a bourbon club, a bridge club, a mahjong club, a cycling club, a singles club, a sporting club, Audubon club. It's like, it's endless.
How about that?
So whatever you want to do, it's like, we have it here. And it's easy to make the connections because, everybody is kind of looking for, like, who can I meet? Like, who do you know? Like, where are you from? And I know some of the communities also have, like, they'll have get-togethers, like potlucks or dinners, where they're like, everybody from Pennsylvania, come on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so, so you can meet, like, your state. So it's fun like that. So I was just thinking about, like, how you can make connections while you're, thinking about moving to Southwest Florida. It's not all that intimidating, and it's not hard to meet people here, is what I'm saying.
That's very important. because you want
Exactly.
to, and I know from hanging around with you guys, like you've gotten really ingrained with the people that own the restaurants and the bars and
Uh-huh.
whatever, and
Right.
it
Hmm.
makes you feel welcome. It makes it feel like home. It's
Yeah,
important.
definitely, definitely. And it's funny how easy once you start to meet people, it's like who they know, who do you know, like, and it's just like so connected. And it like all roads lead back to like either where you're from or like where you've been or your interests. It's like there's so many different ways to connect here.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Great stuff. Well,
Hmm.
thank you, Tina. So
Yeah, of course.
basically, you're saying you got a friend in Florida, don't you?
Or I can find you a friend in Florida. How about that?
Right. Well, Tina, thank you so much.
Yeah,
We appreciate it. Always,
absolutely.
always love it.
Yeah,
You brought
absolutely.
the sunshine again.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. Tina
Take
Morocco.
care.
She is your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. You could reach her at
Mhm.
Sotheby's International in Naples or Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. We'll take a break and be back. Murph tells us this day, 1982, Tommy Two-Tone moved into the top 10 charts, their first and only top 10 hit, more than I had, with 867-5309 Jenny for Jenny McDonald on deck. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Let's go quickly. We got our man Joe from Berwick. Joe, we got about a minute, my man. Fire away.
Hey, Bob, thanks for having me on. So I hope you have Chet back on after the draft is fully complete to talk about it. And, the other thing I want to say, Bob, great minds think alike. Rush loved football because he said, it epitomized the American experience.
Yes.
It comes down to, even though it's a team sport, it was individual greatness on display, and individual drive and whatnot. And, I enjoy the stories behind these kids who get drafted.
Yeah,
but
Chet's
on
the
top
best,
of that, it's really amazing, what Chet was talking about, how you can't insert the nonsense of liberalism into the NFL, even though Roger Goodell does his best.
Oh, he's trying.
Because when that man goes out there on the field, it's on him. He is an individual, and he performs at his best to elevate his team, but it still comes down to the individual greatness of the athlete. That's just what I love about the NFL.
Amen. Well, all right. Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for that beautiful picture of the Susquehanna that you emailed me. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Bob.
All right, my man. Lots to do here as we close up the week. I can't even believe. Where does the time go? I'm like, I get almost ill. How fast time is flying by. It's Friday. I can't believe it. And all week, and even before that, our friends at Roach Supply providing the live stream. The premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business. RoachSupply.com today. And they're in business for 75 years because they're great at what they do. You need a kitchen or a bath, that's them. ROCHE, RoachSupply.com today. And we're finishing with what Murph tells us, Three Dog Night, number one hit, this date, 1971, Joy to the World. And speaking of someone who brought joy to the world, Mother Teresa, St. Teresa, April 24th. Nothing can make me holy except the presence of God, and to me, the presence of God is fidelity to small things. Fidelity to small things will lead you to Jesus. Infidelity to small things will lead you to sin. A great way to end the week with our Mother Teresa, St. Teresa. Thank you, Mary Regina. And, of course, we got to do the policeman's prayer. Lord, bless the ones who wear the badge, the ones who walk the beat, protect and keep them safe while they are on the street. As they wait and as they watch, doing good for all, guide their minds and give them strength for each and every call. Ready to put their lives on the line, give them courage each day. Let them know you're always there in each and every way. So bless the ones who wear the badge. Protect them from harm. Always keep them safe and in your loving arms. That's the policeman's prayer brought to you by my man Nick DeSando. And it just reminds that's the thin blue line separating us from evil, from danger, from savagery. Just pray for the cops, okay? Tomorrow never comes. Norma Cornett Merrick. We saw this in the great obituary for the lovely Doreen Gorey a couple of years back and knew that we should finish the program each week with it. If I knew it would be the last time I'd see you walk out the door, I'd give you a hug and kiss and call you back for just one more. If I knew it would be the last time I would spare an extra minute or two to stop and say, I love you, instead of assuming you know I do. So just in case tomorrow never comes, and today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you, and I hope we will never forget. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone, young or old alike. And today may be the last chance you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take that extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss, a text, or a call. And you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their final wish. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear that you love them very much and you'll always hold them dear. Take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. Well, we're done. That's the week. Sue Henry show next, Rob O'Donnell show after that. Guys, have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. Have a relaxing weekend. If you're working, make some money. God willing, I'll be with you Monday morning at 9. But for now, I must say adios and gavel to a close this week of meetings of the Club for Common Sense.